Awesome. Yeah.
Welcome to the Sleep Experience podcast, where we take a deep dive into the latest sleep hacks, gadgets, and strategies to skyrocket your productivity to new heights. Being a high performer is all about resting at 100%, so you can execute at 100%.
Side effects of medication, they weren't doing anything for me. So I felt like my back was up against the wall.
Hey, this is Riley, host of the Sleep Experience Podcast. At the Sleep Experience Podcast, we interview health experts and teach our community how upgrading their sleep is the one thing that they need to unlock their biological code and maximize their performance in an effortless way by doing more with less. Do you want to become a productivity machine, have genius ideas automatically pop into your mind, stop feeling so stressed, build better relationships, and generate more income? Optimizing your deep sleep can do just that. Visit thesleepconsultant.com to learn more. My guest today is Matt Gallant. Matt is the co-founder and CEO of BiOptimizers, an organization that helps humans shift from a sick, unhealthy condition into a peak biological optimized state where all the body's functions are operating in perfect harmony. Helping others with their health for over 20 years, a serial entrepreneur building over 15 profitable companies, I guess on some of the most popular health podcasts, a serial biohacker himself, Matt has deep insights into how to achieve a peak body and mind state. Matt, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. First of all, I'm excited that I feel your audience already knows the value of sleep. I think the biggest challenge I'm finding in general is the grand majority of people, they know that sleep's important, but I don't think they know how important, how significant it is. So great to be here.
Yeah, really. I'm really glad you said that. And it's an honor to have you on because we have different specialists, whether it's genetics or other things, but really just diving into, like you said, how important sleep is beyond just your typical hygiene list. The science is coming out about it. It's really fascinating too. So super stoked to dive into it all. But I guess, I know you're very well-versed within this area. So I'll keep some of these questions open. But first, why is sleep so important? And what happens when we don't sleep well?
Yeah, it's immediate. So the interesting thing with sleep, like if you're thinking about things that have significant short-term consequences to your health, going to McDonald's, eating a Happy Meal. One night of bad sleep is right on top of that list, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that happens is a bunch of epigenetics get turned on, including tumor genes, cancer genes.
Yeah.
Your hippocampus gets severely compromised. So a lot of people report, hey, my short-term memory is just gone, and they feel like their brain is heading in the wrong direction, which, of course, as we age, we all need to fight brain aging as well. But a bad night's sleep alone will have a significant impact on your short-term memories. So sleep is huge for that. When it comes to losing body fat, so they took two groups. One group slept 8.5 hours. The other group slept 5.5. And the group that slept 5.5 lost 60% more muscle mass. So the data was that for every 2 pounds they lost, about 1 pound was body fat, which is horrible.
That's incredible.
So that's just what happens to your metabolism. Blood sugar the next day is going to be severely elevated. If you're not getting enough REM, your mood is going to be significantly compromised. Like if somebody doesn't get REM for 3 or 4 nights in a row, they're going to be in a horrible mood. Like it's almost impossible not to be. So again, we could keep going on and on. So that's the short-term impact, meaning like, again, tomorrow, next days. And then if you look at the longevity data, you're going to just die younger if you sleep too much or if you sleep too little, which is interesting. And I think it's for very different reasons, but that's the data.
Wow. Fascinating. And when we don't sleep well, so for typical high performance, I work with a lot of sometimes C-suite executive entrepreneurs, how, they're really looking to maximize their performance in every way. And they usually see sleep as a liability, like, oh, I'll sleep less and drink more coffee in order to get ahead. But the data actually shows the opposite. If we do rest, we can actually get more done in the day, which translates to the things they do want, which is becoming a more effective leader, making more money in their business and things like that. Is that something that you would relate to?
1,000%. My first real lesson in sleep, when I say a lesson, not intellectual lesson, but experiential, was my 20s, where I really felt sleep was a liability. So I had the horrible game plan of, I'm going to cut my sleep by 15 minutes every few days until I'm down to 4 hours and my body will adapt. I was trying to apply, adaptive physiology response to sleep, which unfortunately doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Completely crashed and burned when I got down to 4 hours.
Wow.
Took me 2 months to recover, like sleeping 9-10 hours a night. Read
Wow.
Power Sleep by James Moss. It was a great book. And then went the other way. And over time, I've realized it's really about hyper optimizing sleep quality.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is like, my second major experiential lesson with sleep was when I got my body fat, my testosterone, and my sleep data. My sleep data was I was getting 0 to 15 minutes of deep sleep. Testosterone was the lowest I've ever recorded in my life.
Wow.
Body fat, highest I've ever recorded in a DEXA scan. And I just realized that my sleep quality was horrendous. And that's what started me on this journey. So I spent about 45 grand on every sleep gadget, every sleep tracker, pretty much every sleep molecule in the last 8 years to hyper optimize. And here's what happens. Like, as you get healthier, let me drop some good news for all the hyper performers out there.
Yeah.
If you go from like unhealthy to healthy, and then healthy to what we call biologically optimized, like there's levels, right?
Yeah.
Once you kind of get into that biological optimized zone, you'll actually need a little bit less sleep. Like, and I've noticed that with myself. Like for me now, 7 hours, I feel so much better than I ever did at like 9.
Wow.
And of course, sometimes, if you're training really hard, you're doing squats and deadlifts, I'll need an extra hour or 90 minutes of sleep.
Yeah.
But in general, when I'm hyper optimized, I need about 7 to 7.5 instead of, I used to sleep 9 and I'd wake up feeling groggy.
Yeah.
I was 3 to 4 pounds down from water dehydration.
Yeah.
And, it just wasn't working. So sleep quality to me is the ultimate hack.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. And you take that hour and a half, like 7.5 hours compared to 9 hours, translated that over days, weeks, months, years. That's a lot of extra time you have just by optimizing your body. So translate that to more money and everything else. I think the ROI on that, just looking at the numbers, is pretty obvious there. But I think that's really interesting because the myth is people think it's all about the length you sleep, but it's the quality and the hours of those sleeps and the deep 90-minute sleep cycles you're getting, the deep sleep and the REM sleep and everything else. When your body is just less inflamed, systems are more optimized, you can just do more with less. And I think that's just what people want on a functional thing instead of just, seeing the data and stuff like that. What about with melatonin? Melatonin is a very interesting one. People ask me a lot of questions about it. What do you think of melatonin? Maybe why should we not supplement, and maybe when is a good time to supplement it?
Yeah. So again, I'm uniquely qualified to, I have the genes where if I take too much melatonin, I'm going to wake up after about 5 hours.
Okay.
I have a hard time going to bed. And there's a lot of people that have, I know I've heard Huberman talk about it, Tim Ferriss, there's a lot of people that have that response to melatonin, even at 0.5 milligrams. Then I dived into the literature, including, how much melatonin does the brain naturally produce.
Okay.
The brain naturally produces 10 to 80 micrograms. People are taking, on the low side, 500 micrograms. And on the high side, they're taking 10,000 micrograms. It's crazy, right? So what we found was the optimal dose is actually, for me and for a lot of people, for most people, is in that range of 10 to 80 micrograms. So what's working for me when I want to use it, and we can talk about when to use melatonin, because I don't think it's something you want to use every night.
Yeah.
But you want to be, I'm using around 50 micrograms, and that's working really well. Even when I get past 100, I'll start getting that response where I'm waking up too early and so on and so forth.
Got it.
Now, as we get older, most of our hormone production starts decreasing, melatonin included, testosterone, et cetera. I'm a big believer that the first strategy is always, let's try to hyper optimize our own internal production.
Yeah.
So how do we do that? Well, first we got to feed the body the precursors, which is the building blocks. Things like magnesium. Magnesium converts into serotonin, and serotonin is a precursor to melatonin.
Yeah.
The other key strategy when you're formulating supplements is to include all the cofactors. So the cofactors are the things that transform or help transform the building block into the target molecule.
Got it.
So things like B6 or P5P, which is a bioactive form of B6, those are great cofactors for magnesium and so on and so forth. So that's my number one suggestion is always, let's try to hyper optimize your own production. And if that doesn't work, then okay, let's go to exogenous, which means, from an external form. Now, when should you use melatonin? Well, one, I think if you're traveling, I'd say 3 time zones, it's a good idea for a couple of days. And I would only recommend using melatonin 3, maximum 4 days a week. The main reason is that it's a hormone, your body's going to down-regulate. And that's what happens, right? First of all, people start with a mega dose. They think 0.5 milligram is a normal dose or a low dose. It's not. It's already in the mega dose zone. And then when the body has too much hormones, it starts down-regulating the receptors, which means it becomes less effective. The body senses there's too much of it. And then you need to take more and more and more. And I've talked to a lot of people that are like, I'm up to 10 milligrams. I'm like, well,
it's insane.
That's it's way too much. You need to titrate down, which means you need to lower your dose. And I've talked to a lot of people that have gone cold turkey off melatonin. It takes them about 6 to 8 weeks for their bodies to recover and start naturally producing melatonin again.
Wow. Almost as bad as a coffee addict.
I mean, again, hormones, people are not taking melatonin seriously enough. Like, we wouldn't do that with testosterone, right? Like when people think about testosterone replacement therapy, it's a big decision, right? People think about it for a long time. They talk with their doctors. My opinion, melatonin should be more or less treated the same way.
Yeah, definitely.
The other strategies are, for me, and this is one of my favorite hacks for using melatonin. If I'm only going to get 5 hours or 6 hours or 4.5 hours of sleep, I'll actually take a big dose, like a 0.5 milligram, because I'm going to wake up after 5 hours and feel refreshed. So I'll feel more refreshed than if I don't take it.
Got it.
So that's a really good hack. And melatonin doesn't really give you better sleep, but it's very good at helping you fall asleep.
Right.
So those nights where maybe I watch the UFC and it's 2 a.m. and I've got too much adrenaline and dopamine, it's good to kind of help hack the shutdown switch in the brain and help me fall asleep.
Got it.
So those are kind of some situations where you want to use melatonin. We are coming out with a product where you can microdose melatonin. It's going to be 18 micrograms per spray. It's called Dream Optimizer.
Nice.
It's coming out very soon.
Awesome.
But our main solution is called Sleep Breakthrough, and it's designed to give people all the precursors and the building blocks and the cofactors to help maximize your natural production.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Sort of that upstream downstream analogy. Instead of doing it all sort of at the symptom level, okay, just take this thing downstream, go upstream. Like, where are the cofactors? Where is this coming from? Okay, foods and these other supplements to help with the conversion process, I think is so important. The other thing you mentioned, which is new to me, is taking melatonin. People wake up, after 5 hours. Why is that exactly?
It's a heat response. It's obviously your body will, before you wake up, your body temperature goes up, right? So let's just talk about sleep and body temperature because it's a huge deal. So for great sleep, first of all, you should sleep in a very, very cold room. Chill it before you go to bed. I'm a massive fan of the chili pad, or some people use the Sleep 8, whatever. Just make sure you're in a cool bed. And then you can use glycine. Glycine will actually help push blood to your extremities and lower your core body temp. And that's really what you want. You want your body temp to drop, your core body temp. And if you look at all the literature, I mean, this was back in the Power Sleep, your head needs to be about 1 degree cooler than your body. So you need to have a cold room. But for those of us that have a hot metabolism, either, you're carrying a lot of muscle mass as a man, or maybe you're in menopause or premenopause as a woman, your body temp can be elevated even though the room's really cold. So really recommend using, again, something underneath the sheets to keep your body cool where it's making contact with the mattress.
Got it.
Glycine's great. And as a comment, a lot of people that I know personally, and myself included, I've had some of the best sleep scores of my life actually taking an ice bath before bed, like specifically deep sleep.
Interesting.
Have had just the best deep sleep scores by taking a nice bath before. So,
Yeah.
even again, doing things to really cool down your body, I think pre-bed. And what's interesting too with the literature is people that take hot baths also have better sleep. So either kind of really cold or a hot bath. I think the hot bath is working on the parasympathetic side. It's shifting your nervous system over, which is always a good thing. Whereas the cold is working on the body temp level. So I think it's very different mechanisms. But when we wake up, our bodies will rise in temperature typically a couple of hours before. And some of the newer techs like the sleep, the ChiliPad V3 or the ACE sleep will actually increase temperature to help kind of assist that process, to help you optimize your wake up experience. So what happens when you take melatonin is you'll typically get a spike in temperature 2 or 3 hours before you normally would, and then that's it. You're up.
Interesting. Okay, got it. That's all amazing. How about for people who are already into the biohacking space? Is there anything more on the advanced side of the tech? Let's say they're doing the cold room, they're doing the blackout curtains, everything else. Anything else that you've been trying or sort of on the forefront or that you're excited about that's on the radar?
Yeah, so I've spent on that 45 grand. I've spent a huge chunk of that on PEMF devices.
Okay.
For those of you that don't know what that means, PEMF devices are technologies that radiate waves, and there's many different types of PEMF devices. Some are magnetic, some are radio. And I'm a big fan of PEMF devices, but for sleep, there's the Delta Pulse. There was like the Delta Sleeper, which was actually one of the better ones. You would stick it onto your brachial nerve and would send a Delta frequency pulse through your nervous system. And for people specifically that struggled with falling asleep, have a bad sleep latency, it's good. I don't really have that issue, so I don't use it anymore. Or the other good application for the Delta Sleeper was if you would wake up. So a lot of people wake up in the middle of the night and struggle to go back to sleep. One suggestion to help minimize that is take potassium before going to bed for 2 reasons. One, as I was diving into sleep molecule research, I stumbled onto this data with odd mutant flies. Okay. And what they found was that sodium excites neurons and potassium quiets them down. And this sleep breakthrough formula was designed by me and Mr. News, Mark Effinger. And he's like, yeah, we need potassium. And that's what kind of got me into that literature. So potassium is really good before bed. And most people have an overload of sodium in their bodies and they're deficient in potassium. So, but the other big reason is potassium is really the molecule of hydration. So if you're waking up to go to the bathroom, taking a potassium dose before bed can help minimize the odds of that happening.
Oh, that's really good. So really that fluid retention.
Exactly. You'll keep your water. I was just doing some brain training 2 months ago, and you get electrodes in your brain for like 2-3 hours at a time, and you want to get to these deep states. So we were hyperdosing potassium so that we wouldn't have to go to the bathroom. It's a really, really good strategy.
Nice. Yeah. It's simple and super effective. How about people who, just don't get a good sleep? They wake up, they feel horrible. What are some things they can do in the morning or throughout the daytime to really get them back to baseline?
So nootropics is an incredible solution for like once you wake up, if you're not hyper optimized. You taking, which we have, of course, Nutopia, which is customized, personalized nootropics. So that's, one of our taglines is like hashtag no bad days, which is true. Like, even if you're getting not enough sleep, I can optimize myself into an incredible state using nootropics. The new product that's coming out soon, Dream Optimizer, is actually an incredible solution for people that wake up in the middle of the night and struggle to go back to bed, because you just do like 2 sprays, and you're going to get about 36 micrograms of melatonin, and it's just enough to trigger another sleep cycle.
Amazing.
So it's really, really good for that. A lot of people are just loving using it that way. So yeah, I think the Dream Optimizer and nootropics are great. I mean, everybody's pretty much using nootropics in the form of caffeine. And caffeine, basically, it does a couple things. One, it removes adenosine from the brain, which makes you feel less tired. So if you are tired, you basically not realize how tired you are. That's what caffeine does. And it's a really good solution. But the problem with caffeine is similar to melatonin, is your body adapts quickly. And it just doesn't work as well over time. So there's a lot of other things you can add to caffeine, like L-theanine. I'm a huge fan of L-theanine for all kinds of reasons, including sleep. Like L-theanine has been one of my favorite sleep molecules for the last 5-6 years. Like I've probably taken it like 99% of evenings for literally 5 or 6 years. And that's why we have 200 milligrams of it in Sleep Breakthrough. I really like sleep molecules that don't cause drowsiness.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So that's why I love glycine. I love L-theanine. Those two will, again, really relax your nervous system, shift you into parasympathetic, and not cause any drowsiness. And now, of course, if you take L-theanine with caffeine, it will extend the lifespan of the caffeine and lower that spiky edginess that some people feel when they take too much. And that's why a lot of people prefer green tea over coffee.
Yeah, that's a big one. Also, too, I found combining coffee with fat, like the bulletproof coffee, kind of slow release over the day, which is good. And for the ketones too, but there's so many different ways you could try with this stuff. But I think that's really great. Really love everything you shared here today, Matt. If people want to take it even a step further, what do you think about lab testing, like functional lab testing on their biology? Is that one thing to, if they really want to get to the root of whatever that problem might be, is that one thing that you would support?
Yeah, let's talk about sleep trackers, and I'll answer your question.
Sure.
So unfortunately, and again, I owned the Zeo, which was a predecessor to the Oura Ring, which was a headband. I've owned pretty much every sleep tracker that's coming out or that's come out. Unfortunately, if it's not an EEG headset or EEG or electrodes, it's only about 60% accurate for assessing how much deep and how much REM you're getting.
Got it.
Now, it's still directionally correct, meaning that if you're using an Oura Ring, which again, I had V3 and I lost it because I've been losing body fat. But it's directionally correct, meaning that if you get it and you're getting horrible sleep and you're reporting 15 minutes of deep sleep, like I was, and you're improving and you're seeing the deep sleep score go up, then you're getting better sleep. But it's using secondary metrics to assess how much deep and REM you're getting. Again, the only way to accurately measure is you need electrodes on your brain. There was a company called Dream, DREEM, that had an amazing headset. And unfortunately, they've shifted from direct to consumer to research only. But if somebody's really struggling with their sleep, I think going into a sleep lab where, again, they have medical grade electrodes and they can monitor your sleep and get valuable insights is a great investment. I mean, to me, you should sell your car, sell everything, and invest it all in great sleep, if you have to. I think investing in your sleep is just one of the best things you can do, whether it's a great mattress, supplements, like whatever it takes to get you there, I think is incredible investment.
I think that's amazing. And I think the ROI on that is just so high. It's all different areas of your life. And, sleep is something that we're all getting anyway. So why not try and just optimize it all along that path? So I really appreciate everything that you shared here today, Matt. So thank you for coming on today. If people want to learn more about you, where can they visit?
Yeah, if you go to sleepbreakthrough.com/sleep experience, you can check out Sleep Breakthrough. All of our products have a 365-day unconditional money back guarantee. So if some reason it doesn't work for you, we will give you every penny back. So that formula, we're targeting 5 different pathways. The first one is, again, what we talked about, the melatonin building blocks, specifically using magnesium and the precursors. Second one is we have 4 different minerals that help sleep. We have the potassium, which we talked about. We have calcium, which increases REM, zinc orotate, which calms down nervous system,
Amazing.
And the magnesium, which is a precursor and a cofactor for all these other minerals.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're targeting GABA. We're using pharma GABA, which is the strongest form of GABA on the market. GABA is the molecule of chill, helps shift your nervous system over, helps increase alpha brain waves.
Yeah.
Then we're quieting the brain with L-theanine, which we talked about. And then we're also lowering body temperature with 3 grams of glycine.
Amazing.
So that's the formula in a nutshell. Super clean. Again, there's no melatonin in this one.
Yeah.
And people are really reporting some incredible results on their Oura rings and so on and so forth.
Wow. I'm pretty well versed in the different supplement ingredients. And I mean, that one just blows me away. I'm very excited to try it. And we'll put all that down in the show notes below for people to check out. All right, guys, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you would like to learn more about how sleep can benefit your personal business life, visit thesleepconsultant.com. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to the Sleep Experience podcast. We'll see you next time on next week's episode. Be sure to subscribe and follow us to get future updates on everything sleep, energy, focus, stress, and better performance.